Okay, I figured out that my mic wasn't working, so I fixed that. Now let's get to it. We got a lot of stuff to cover. How's it going to the folks? Yep, thank God I wasn't saying anything. My background music isn't playing, so hey Mitchell. Cole says hello. Mitchell. Yeah, it feels weird not having the music playing in the background. It almost calms me, if you will. I can't even, now you guys won't know when I'm wrapping up either. So, I decided today to talk about, what it was like as I started learning or relearning everything. And I decided to kind of take you guys on a walkthrough a little bit, so I've got notes. And it's going to be hard to do all of this and see your comments. So excuse me if I don't read comments straight away. I should take that comment away. There we go. So I put it's so hard to see something and not just get up and go. You know how when you're trying to come up with things to do, you see these tutorials, you get real motivated, and it's not easy. So I wanted to show you one of the people who I follow, and initially I couldn't I understood it, but it was funnier than what I could understand, and so I'm just going to share it with you. He's called Firebase, and I hope you can hear this.
Simple things like reactive state much more complicated than they need to be, and that's what makes us feel like real developers. UseEffect is especially fun, and it was originally going to be called UseFootgun because it's a great way to introduce infinite loops, performance issues, and bugs that you'll never be able to figure out. Not to worry though, React is always evolving with revolutionary new features to monkey patch all the weirdness nobody saw coming.
Yeah. So you said the video sound is turned off. I didn't know if it was going to come through. So the bottom line is you should check out Fireship. They have great intro videos, but at the same time, what you have to understand is that not everyone can be a champion of the average like me. So I feel that when I started, I had to kind of get a refresher course going. I had to relearn all the basics, down to how does an array work, an if statement, the god-awful nomenclature that used to be if. Now that they've got that in modules, it's easier to loop through information. But it's still super challenging because there's just so much failure. So here's another person. Let's see if it shows you. This guy. I used to hate this guy. I'm like, take your CSS crap and shove it. Yeah, I don't like ya. Because CSS is so antiquated. It's so, you have to understand what it is. But I'm remembering it like it was in like 2002, right? It's completely changed, but you have to get your mind around thinking about it as objects, right? So I'm going somewhere with this. Stay with me. Let me get this back up. So the first thing that you'll have to do is like you'll have to get your environment comfortable. And now there are things called IDEs, and IDEs are basically your environment that you'd set up if you were doing it professionally, but you can just go to a website and copy and paste code and take a look at things. And that kind of leads you to a false sense of security, like you're doing something, but you're getting familiar with it again. But trying to understand that technology and bringing in code and trying to understand other things, you can't, it's all conflated. You can't tell where the bug is. You don't know if it's in React, you don't know if it's in the IDE, you don't know if it's in the language, because you don't trust yourself. And it's just really hard to get started. But you'll know that you've advanced because you'll start to say, okay, let me pull some of this stuff down locally. And whether you're on a MacBook Pro or using Mac OS or you're using Windows, it's kind of the same. The desktops and configurations used to be way different, but now they're more the same since you're using third-party tools like React, NPM to build it. The next thing that was really challenging was building the environment. And so after you get everything all set, for me, when I did it, I got everything set up, right? And then I had to, sorry, I'm making sure there's no chat. I'll answer that after. I had everything set up, and then I ran into a program that said it wouldn't run on my iMac with an Intel processor. So that meant I had to upgrade. And that meant that I had to recreate that environment that took me months to get to work where I could actually build something and it would work. The tutorials, sometimes people go fast. Sometimes they'll leave out something. You'll go to an old video and there's not a reference to what the person's talking about. And so it's just roadblock after roadblock. The last person that I wanted to show you guys was this guy, Dapp University. Gregory, I always forget his name. This is the guy who got me to start doing it all. Like I still enroll in his Dapp University class because he's got so much data regarding things that I want to build, specifically with blockchain. But it was also probably one of the biggest challenges that I had. I can't say it's a wrong decision because I took it, but it's hard. He's the kind of teacher, unlike Kevin Powell, he's the kind of teacher who shows you how to do it, but he also shows you when he's making mistakes. Now, at first I used to think that was cool, but after you're trying to build a knowledge or an understanding of what's going on, and you type it and you go back and like, wait, that's not. So it kind of becomes a little bit of scrambled eggs in your brain when you're trying to get the theory together. So I went into tutorial overload. Like, for this you have the ability, there's a Slack account that you can get. And so you can ask questions and they have dedicated people who will answer you, but there might be 8 hours between responses, 12 hours between responses, which I was okay with because I was going slow. But it was still hard, and then, as explained last week, life happened. So when I wanted to get back in again, it was like AI time. And I was working with AI all of last year, but it wasn't really doing anything. And then the chatbots came out, and they're really good at helping with code. This weekend, I even tried to create adapt from scratch with, Chat GPT. I upgraded, and so I wouldn't get that message about it's busy. It was a pain in the butt. But what I realized was I could ask a lot of questions like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? And so that, I think if I'd had Chat AI back when I started blockchain, maybe I would have been better, but I don't know. Because you have to have what I talked about last week is cognitive understanding of what you're doing. You have to be able to see it. That's the only way that I can learn. And so that's why I say I've become, milestone achieved. I did like 3 or 4 tutorials last week, and before I couldn't even get that done. There were so many things that happened in these tutorials that are unique to your environment, and it's hard to stay inspired, especially folks who aren't doing it like me, like all the time. It's really frustrating. It's hard to keep coming back from that. But because I think I'm a musician and I went to college for my instrument, I think that kind of changed my drive to not quit, because when your fingers can't do things, you feel stupid, but you walk away and you come back and you just keep pounding that rock. So let me get something that I put together for you guys to show you. I did that this week, and it was with React, so I'm segueing back into what you were talking about. Go here, paste and go. So, I don't know, can you guys see that? So I built this using React this weekend, also using a tutorial, right? And so you look at the site and you go, okay, that's kind of cool, but you see that little, see how it's kind of blinking? That's programmed. The highlight, that's programmed in. All of this, if I don't know if it'll slide, let's see. If I slide this, it knows how to break it down without me doing it, so that this drop down becomes an actual drop down. These are things that I just couldn't do before, and I never thought at one point that I'd be able to do them at all. And so, all of this footer stuff, it's all code that's reusable. Clicking on this, I can change the color of that click. I can change the color of the fade. They're icons, but it's so much code. And so, let me go to Mitchell. I'll have to try React. I was using another one. What were you using? You watch who? Kevin Powell? Or Gregory? And then Mitchell said, like you say sometimes, you don't get a bit they're doing, then trying to find what you want in another video. Yeah, it takes a load of time. But I've broken through. I'm looking forward to showing you guys the progress on this. This week, starting on Monday, I wasn't even able to get this to work, right? I couldn't even get a nav bar to work. It was throwing an error. And so because I'd worked on code long enough, I realized that code doesn't look right. I'm not building a React app, blah, 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 blah. I just realized it wasn't working. So, one of the things I said is that we talk about the code that I was going to develop, and I would show you guys people that I think are important, because getting the right teacher when you're doing these tutorials works. Like the guy who does the basics on this, his screen, he'd go like this. He'd change something on his code and then he'd go back like that. I'd be like, what are you doing? Why are you, I didn't see what you typed, so you have to pause the video. And if you're not alone, if you're not isolated, if you can't focus, that's just going to throw you. Even if you're isolated, it's going to throw you. It's just really, really challenging to keep going at it. But as you can see, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And I've been taking this progressively slow. One, because of life, but also because coding is hard. And you shouldn't just be expected to understand how to do it. You have to cut yourself a lot of slack. So that's kind of what I've been doing, guys. I don't know if this was just a talk to moment. Yeah, but you have to do what Mitchell said. You have to think about it slowly. But I'm able now, as a side hustle, to offer development services. Like I can, I'm working for somebody who does this. I'm going to ask for forgiveness for showing a very templated version of what I'm going to do, but when you guys see this next week, I hope to have it in actual form that someone can use to check in and do their job, and that it'll work on a mobile app. The reason that I'm able to go faster is because I've already been a coder. So there was only a little bit of trying to understand what changed, restore my confidence in myself. But once I got that, things started going rapid fire. And you have to turn to a lot of these people who are out here teaching. And my recommendation is, if you don't find, I'm going to play the music even though, because you guys kind of heard it. If you guys don't find that, you're clicking with the instructor, find another instructor. If you find that you're understanding it and then you stop understanding it, stop the video, go somewhere else. There's a strategy to doing this, and you have to take it step by step, or you're just going to be overwhelmed. So that's really all I have, guys. We'll talk about on tomorrow's show drip. Let me get rid of this. We'll talk about the drip ecosystem tomorrow. And I thank you for tuning in. Let me know in the comments. Don't ask if you like, subscribe, or follow, but if you want to leave a like, that's okay. But more of the comments, like somebody told me, hey, the echo, you got to turn up the echo. I'm like, my show's probably going to have echo because I can't figure it out. And like a configuration that I'm talking about for programming, I can't figure this stuff out, and I might be changing the set, so I'll wait. Cole said, thanks everyone. See you tomorrow for an AMA chat. Be safe and well. Thanks again. See you same time tomorrow. On behalf of Cole Mitchell and myself, thanks for tuning in. And I don't know if the music's playing. Guys, is the music playing? And remember, game on. Oh no, I clicked the wrong button. Now I feel like Police Squad when they go, you have to freeze. But anyway.